seminal indie darlings of the 90s, Archers of Loaf, and their well-received, well-loved, well-aged debut, Icky Metal, containing their biggest hit, Web in Front. These guys released 4 albums in the 90s, and I didn't listen to them at all. I didn't pick up on them. I wasn't, you know, they weren't on my radar, per se. And probably one of the reasons is because the name. I hate their name so much. But, I mean, you know, whatever. You grow older and you get a little bit more open-minded to certain things. And I just thought, that's an Archer of Loaf, you know. Is this a reference that I'm missing? Some kind of I don't know. They're the shooters of bread, or the other loaf. I'm not sure, but I didn't pick up on them. And I remember a long time ago, I was trading CDs with this guy, and he turned me on to a lot of cool stuff. And one of the things he gave me was White Trash Heroes, and I liked it. It was okay, but it didn't catch me so far as I was going to investigate even further. And I was going through, went to the record store, and Merge Records, Archer's record label, reissued their entire discography recently. And I saw White Trash Heroes. It was all, you know, wrapped up nice and pretty. They redid the front of every single album into a cartoony kind of, looks much better. The original cover of this record is this disgusting bathroom shot with a stall. This is the worst rest area in North Carolina, I would assume, where they're from, Chapel Hill. And it's ugly. And you can see this one's cartoony. They've added a figure here, a female figure, and another guy here. Just much better looking. The aesthetics is a little bit more inviting. But I picked it up and I put it on, and maybe I'm older, maybe I'm wiser. It just got me. It really got me good. And so I went ahead and I went and got the rest of the discography. And it's been, these guys finished up in the late 90s. And I just got into them within the last, I don't even think a year now I've been listening to these guys. But I dig them. And I wish I was more in tune and picked up on them when they first came out. Their first record, Icky Metal, with the song Web in Front, came out in the early 90s. And there were, and this is all from reading on the internet recently, doing my research on them. They were compared to Pavement. And they said they're a lot like Pavement. And there's a lot of blowback from Pavement fans in every single forum and article that mentions that. But not a lot of arguing from the Archers of Loaf fans. And I like Pavement a lot. I'm not a big fan, but they're great. And if the aliens came down and said, give us a record that defines the 90s, you'd have to give them Crooked Rain. That record is the 90s. So I think Pavement deserves a lot of respect, deservedly. But they do sound a lot like Pavement. But I think what's different, and I think what the Pavement fans don't like, is Archer's just, they got a harder punch, man. If Pavement punched you in the jaw, you'd kind of like, you know, all right, and walk on. These guys punch, and they punch hard. And Eric Bachman's lyrics are just as intelligently obscure as anything on a Pavement record. But there's some emotion in there that you just don't get from Malcolmus when he sings. Pavement's very thin, but jangly, and the cool melody and the vibe and everything. And Archers of Loaf had the exact same thing. They're just putting on the distortion pedal and playing a little bit faster. So I don't get the blowback. I mean, they both complement each other very well. I don't understand. But the Archers of Loaf are great. And this is Icky Metal, had Web in Front. And I can't speak much from experience, but this is definitely their big one. It was hailed as a wonderful debut, and it is. It's a great album. It hits hard. The lyrics are good. There's a lot of, not regret necessarily, but some vulnerability that I really enjoy in music. Because I think if you're hiding behind clever jokes in your music, you're doing yourself a disservice and ultimately people who should be connecting with you. So I appreciate his vulnerability, and I appreciate his willing to be open. And you can hear it in the music too. You hear the emotion in the music too. And I think that's hard to convey for a lot of bands. This album hits and it doesn't stop. It's just a 1, 2, 3, and it goes all the way through. Their next album, Vivi. Their next album, Vivi, is more the same. Not a lot of redundancy, but it's the same exact thing. It's hitting hard and not stopping. Their single from Vivi was Harnessed in Slums. I don't know if you've heard it. I didn't. I wasn't aware of these guys. But when it played, I was like, oh, that one. I probably heard it on 120 a couple of times. And not a lot of complaints. It keeps going and they keep rolling. Their third album, All of the Nation's Airports, is an interesting one because there's definitely a change occurring. They're laying off the distortion pedals. Bachman seems a little bit more introspective, and I love the title, All the Nation's Airports. You have this icky metal. It's just, this is an alternative record. It's splattered, it's messy. It says icky metal. It's a cool, like, janky kind of name. Then you have Vivi. You're coming with a concept. You have the lady in front of the car, and the lyrics are still these regrets and these lamentations on certain things in life and whatnot. They're found their footing. They know what they're doing, and they're punching you in the teeth. But then here, maybe we've been touring for a little bit. We're going around the country. We're getting more introspective, and we're looking inward. And it's an inward-looking album. And this is the first time that the music really starts to really, truly have an emotional effect where thoughts are being conveyed through the music. What is on the second side? It's vocal shrapnel. There's a point where the guitar is playing, and then all of a sudden it kind of drowns out, and there's just this chord that's repeating redundantly. And it's nice. It's nice to listen to, and it feels good, and you don't get that from guitars a lot, okay? Then we go to their final album, and boy, do I love a swan song. And what's interesting about this band is you have Icky Metal, Young Upstarts. Then you have Vivi, confident in what they're doing and continuing what they started on Icky Metal. Then you start to see the transgression. We're laying off the guitar. We're starting to write a little bit more, melodic intentionally with the guitar music, more introspective lyrics. It's definitely a more desolate kind of album covering All the Nation's Airports. That's the only place you have time to sit and think, And then we have this full circle evolution to White Trash Heroes. And this album, I think, was not well received. It got a lot of middling average kind of scores. I think it's great. And I think a lot of people who started with Archers of Loaf, with the punchy pack and the raucousness, were kind of let down by the mellowness of Eric Bachman's songwriting on this one. But I love it, and boy, do I love a swan song. The last song on this album, White Trash Heroes, has this synth in it, and it's redundant, and it doesn't change. And then you have these e-bowed guitars, and you have this, soundscape that forms as he's talking about, seeing probably this lady. He's talking about seeing a former lover or a friend at the state fair, and smoking a cigarette, and really kind of going through a recollection. And it feels like a recollection of his entire career with the Archers. And he's seeing the lady with a new set of friends, and he's kind of saying goodbye in his way, in a silent way from a distance. And it really, I don't think it's about the lady. I think the lady is the Archers of Loaf, and it's an amazing goodbye. I think it's one of the best ending songs I've ever heard. The one I love is Pristina by Faith No More, the last song on Album of the Year. And I thought, until Soul Invictus came out a couple years ago, that album came out in '98, just an absolute stunning end to the career. And that was their last word. and left a mark on me. And then they came out with Soul Invictus and kind of ruined that because Black Friday on Soul Invictus is not a good goodbye. This is an amazing goodbye, and I think this is a great album. And I think this is such a great little band to kind of check out in, because you can hear it. You can hear the evolution. You can hear the evolution through their career as they slowly transform into something different. And none of these are hard to listen to. This is not experimental music by any means. It's not tough. It's poppy. And it's melody, and you know, it's indie, it's jangle guitar. And you finally come to this one. There's a lot of just, this one gets really slow, right? All the Nation's Airports, it's slow. We're now writing pretty music, and then we have this nice coda right here where it's just, I can't explain it. I don't want to say beautiful, because the one thing that the Archers of Loaf never are beautiful. But it's just such an interesting, introspective, that's the word, it's affecting. And it's affecting to me. And I think it's wonderful. I wasn't into this band, like I said. I just recently got into them. It's super fun to have a brand new band that is brand old. And I can, you know, it's cool. It's cool. I have a new band, and I didn't have that. And I just found them, you know, not even a year ago. These are the merge reissues. Each one has a little story about the band and some pictures. This one is blue, right? So there's more of some, you know, some thoughts from a friend of the band, and that's blue. And then VV, again, this was a really ugly kind of photograph with a lady on a car grill, and it's all cartoony here. And this one with tentacles. There's no tentacles on the car on VV. And then again, the same treatment. You have this contribution from, you know, industry people. This is on green. All the Nation's Airports. This was a picture that Bachman had taken on the airplane as it was taxiing. And this one's been cartoonized, right? Like a filter. What is it? What is the Talkie Tick? All the kids are on Talkie Tick with their filters. It's been filtered into a cartoon. This one is on a just a standard clear, which is up my alley. And then White Trash Heroes, I said before, it was a real ugly toilet in a rest area. And you can see the rust and the piss coming off the toilet. Has been changed to this scene where this man is walking away from a former lover in the bathroom at the state fair. And, you know, that song really got to me. There's something about it. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I was born in a really small, no, I was born in New Orleans, but I grew up in a really small town, and we left and moved to California before I was a teenager. So I have that small town feel in me. I'm tuned into that. And just something about Saturday night at the raceway, you know, that's where all the kids are going to be. You know what I mean? There's no big city. You're gonna go there, and you can see your enemies, and you're gonna see your friends. You're gonna mix, and you're gonna talk and whatnot. And you're going to get together. And that's just what you did on Saturday night in a small town. And I really appreciate that, dude. There's just something about this record, man. It gets to me. It's a friend. I don't have a lot. And I love music, obviously, but I don't have a lot of records that are friends. And this record is indeed a friend. I love the goodbye aspect to it. I love the transformation from where they were to who they become, right? And I just love the introspection. I think they're criminally overlooked. I overlooked them for, you know, a good 20 years. So I'm glad I found them. I think, oh, I didn't tell you. So White Trash Heroes, right? Same deal. It's got a contribution. And then this one's white. So White Trash Heroes by Archers of Loaf. If anything, get White Trash Heroes. But I really think you should take the time, you know, if you're into music, to go through every single one and just hear the progression, this really cool progression. Because Faith No More, probably my favorite band of all time. You know, you listen to the records, there's no real, like, I mean, there's changes and there's hopping around, there's differences. Like, this is an interesting band because you just hear the evolution through about 10 years. And it's really cool. I would check them out. I'll see you around.